This is the Bible Touchstone, responding to a video series from Bobbo345, and I'm going to break it down and address some of the particular points that he's addressed. He's actually responding to a video called Orthodox Preterism, which is now a private video. I can't see it, but I believe I've seen it before. It's from Cabe and the Christian. And Cabe and the Christian's video actually was affirming the partial preterist position. And I don't have time to affirm my own position, but I'm affirming the full preterist position. But I do want to take the liberty in giving a rebuttal to Bobbo345, since he is giving a case against full preterism. First, Matthew chapter 24, verse 34, Bobbo345, he wants us to look at the Greek of the word generation used in this passage, and it reads, "Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled." Now it's suggested that this refers to the destruction of the temple, which Bobbo345 in a comment indicated that he denies that that happens by suggesting that the Wailing Wall was part of the temple, and it still stands. He's saying that Jesus' words were not realized, even though the Wailing Wall was not part of the temple. Also, the coming of our Lord, and also the end of the age, is indicated in the beginning of the passage, and this would be some of those things, all those things that would be fulfilled. Bobbo345 wants us to look at the Blue Letter Bible on the internet, where he thinks he's found an adequate definition from the Strong's of what generation means. And Bobbo345 recommends adamantly that we check out these things, so that's what we're doing here. He says that generation means endowments, pursuits, or pursuits in character, or that is the orientation of how a group of people lived, their mindset. So let's look at what Blue Letter Bible says. Outline of biblical usage. The first usage indicated is fathered, birth, nativity. The second usage is that which has been begotten, men of the same stock, a family, and this is very common in the New Testament, this usage. And then there's a couple sub-usages, or instances of how that could be applied. The first one is a several rank of natural descent, the successive members of a genealogy. And then the second one would be, when used as a metaphor, a group of men very like each other in endowments, pursuits, character. Doesn't say anything about mindset or orientation or how they lived, but it does explain here, especially in a bad sense, a perverse nation. And I did find some verses in Matthew that may support this position, so we'll go over those. But there are even more usages given by the Blue Letter Bible. The next usage is the whole multitude of men living at the same time. The fourth is an age, that is, the time ordinarily occupied by each successive generation, a space of 30 to 33 years. They spelled B by wrong, they spelled it B. Shows the reliability of this source. But even so, Bobbo345, when he uses his usage for generation, he doesn't explain or demonstrate how this changes the meaning of this passage. And we'll look at some verses here that show this trend here, that show that this usage could still mean the contemporary immediate audience of whom he was speaking to. And also, he doesn't explain that the Blue Letter Bible doesn't even use this as a primary usage. It's a sub-usage, and it's even a secondary one at that. So let's look at some verses where this may be supported by Bobbo345. Matthew 11 and 12 and chapter 23. He says things like, "Whereunto I liken this generation. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it. The queen of the south shall rise in the judgment with this generation. Even so shall it also be unto this wicked generation." And in chapter 23, verse 36, "Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation." That is indicative of national judgments. And of course, "Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now all these examples, generation always means the contemporary generation of his immediate audience. When he says this generation, he doesn't say that generation. If he meant that generation, well, let's try to make sense of what Bobbo345 is trying to implicate without demonstrating or exegeting or anything like that. Verily I say unto you, this set of people that are like each other in endowments, pursuits, character, shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. What is the meaning of the statement? Does it mean that all these signs, even when you see these signs at the doors, verily you know that it's soon, but it won't pass, all these things won't be fulfilled until this wicked generation passes away? I'm not really sure how that makes any sense of the central theme of the passage, or why Jesus would say that. Now, he also appeals to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and I suppose I could make 10 videos or so exegeting this passage, and I'm sure we still wouldn't agree about this. So what I'll do is I'll either put it up in the comments or something, or give Bobbo345 a private email of all the verses and explaining what he was doing wrong about it. Also, Revelation chapter 11, he talks about the two witnesses. He's switching the burden of proof, trying to show that full preterists don't have an adequate explanation of who the two witnesses are. And why can't they just be two witnesses? We see examples of two witnesses that testify, subpoenaed witnesses to God throughout the Bible. Sometimes it's heaven and earth, sometimes it's priests, sometimes they're prophets, sometimes they're apostles, sometimes they're signs. But it doesn't have to be demonstrated who these historical figures are, because it just might not be that. It might be apocalyptic language. So in the next video, we're going to look at, and I think the next video will be the core, I believe, of Bobbo345's argument, because this is where he spends a lot of time dealing with these verses of the Old Testament, and we'll show that he's actually denying the conjunct, making logical fallacies, and stuff like that. So, as always, great video.